Decipher's 9 colors of math.
Technically speaking, before we start, I would like to give you a brief introduction about the person who is doing this education delivery to you, because there would be some people who would know me, either their parents have contacted me before whatever the session, or there could be some people who has just connected through some sort of social media promotion, or maybe like you have heard from someone and connected this whatever the 9 colors of math or some crazy thing, right? So then it's my due diligence to first let you know what I am going to do and who am I, right? So it's not that very strange that you are learning combined mathematics and you see these type of different personalities, because by nature we are like that, little odd. But I mean, this subject is said to be the most difficult subject in the advanced level syllabus in this country, but it is not. But that's how people say. So number one, my birth name is Dayan Kirivattuduwa, and it is not Dayan, so that I have to specify, because a lot of people think that my name is Dayan. It's not Dayan, it's Dayan. So make sure that you know it, otherwise you will tell other people my name wrong. It starts with Dayan, okay, not Dayan, right? That is number one. And in the field of corporate training and this private education, I have set up a stage name that we call Decipher. I mean, this is not a big brand name, it's a very simple one that I have adopted, with the meaning that I reveal the things, right? Ciphering is hiding the things, so deciphering is revealing. So I guess that I am revealing something here. Number 3, professionally what I do. So professionally, I am a digital consultant, right? So I have been few corporates here and mentoring few entities, right? And academically I am a mathematician, graduated from University of Hertfordshire, England, and then did my MSc here. I was a national coordinator for Math Olympiad and taught in few schools like St. Joseph's, D. Masenad, then Anula, and finally at Ladies College. When my daughter was born, I stopped teaching in schools, 100% converted myself into the digital industry. So while being in the digital industry, I have put up the very first monetizable online platform in the country, that was named after primetuition.lk. That was in 2020, where I had more than 2,000 tutors under this platform, where I did not teach much during that season, because the due diligence as a digital service provider, my task was very high. So after a long time, since I am leaving the country after a while, I made a decision to do my final series of advanced level combined mathematics, and also I am supporting kids who are doing O levels this year as well, because I have seen 50% of people failing O levels, and English medium mathematics students, sometimes they don't even know the technical terminology when they come to A levels. So I thought I can do some sort of CSR for the O-level kids, so I am supporting them, and which I have never taught O-level syllabus. But technically speaking, advanced level is my verge. I guess the back of the hand trick since 2013. After I came here in Sri Lanka, in 2012 end, my initial class was done at Negombo. So starting from there, for the last 10 years, especially last 4 years on and off, but the very first 6 to 7 years, 100% I was on teaching advanced level combined maths. So I hope my experience set would map your demands and the needs. So we are here learning advanced level combined mathematics. Today on 15th June 2024, targeting 2026 A-level, and because of different sort of problems we had in the examination system, even though we call it 2026 A-levels and we expect that to happen on 2026 August, there could be some reasons still that the exam could take place in either September or October. But we will wish that it would come back to the same examination calendar, at least from your exam, right? So now we are standing on 2024, right? Month of June. So we are starting from here in the sense, at least from June till 2026 June, right? We have altogether 24 months, isn't it? 24 months for sure, right? And then we would have July, and in case if the examination is here, then July is the last month. If the examination is here, then we have additional month. If the examination is here, then we will have additional 2 months. At least we have additional 1 month, but 24 months is too much for this syllabus because we don't have to learn that much. Out of these 24 months, we will use 18 months to cover this syllabus, 18 months, where I'm like not exactly equal, but 9 months for pure mathematics, 9 months for applied mathematics is something that you can imagine. But I mean, it's not going to be like that because sometimes we have to learn pure mathematics, sometimes we will have to learn applied mathematics, and based on the ladder only we have to move, right? And for some reason I don't still see the faces of the other people, right? So on the very first day I don't want to give a harsh feedback, so I am kindly inviting all of you to turn on your videos and please use the chat. If you have any sort of problem that you have to you can use a private chat here, right? So you can chat with the host, right? And you can mention if there's any difficulty why the video cannot be turned on, then maybe we can support you with whatever the small tech knowledge that we have so that you can also adjust, right? Okay, thank you very much. I think another person I think came live. Who's that? Sandalima, right? So likewise others also should get into a proper place and get your videos on, because I don't want to waste my time telling this again and again, because we all know this is an online session. So if you don't have the facilities, I think you should not participate online classes. There are so many physical institutions where you can go and learn properly, and there are so many combined mathematics teachers who are delivering classes, physically, and also online who are allowing, students to keep the video turned off and work. So you can work with someone like that. With me, it's not going to work, unfortunately, right? So let's move on to the plan. So first of all, let me tell you what is this advanced level. So now you know that out of the 24 months that we have by definition, with an additional month, July, based on the book, but maybe another 2 months in advance based on the country. However, we have 18 months in our plan. But what is this advanced level? Advanced level. Because you have now completed your ordinary levels. So what is this advanced level? So someone should tell you, because you are new to this. So what is advanced level? Advanced level means that we accept that you have completed your ordinary level. So we are not going to poke you, asking whether you have done good in O levels or not, because that we do not care. Because if you compare ordinary level, now let's say this is O level, you have 9 subjects, right? You have 9 subjects, and when it is A level, you are mainly talking about 3 subjects, right? So the content wise, A level 3 subjects is still bigger than the O level subject. Example, I'll tell you. If you use 200 pages to write all these syllabus content, the notes that your teachers giving, I think 18 books would do. Game over. That means per subject having 2 books is more than enough, right? A level, for the 3 subjects, you will need at least 300 books, right, to write all the contents of the same number of pages, and also to do example sums and stuff, and then do some further studies in terms of the advanced level papers and stuff. So that is why a lot of people, teachers, parents, even the students are a little scared about this exam, because here you have like 18 books, whole syllabus complete. Anyone can do this exam in 3 months, all levels. I mean, it's not a big deal. But when it comes to this, you have to write a lot. You have to write a lot, and you have to keep many things in your mind. True, in mathematics, there's very less things to remember. But you are not only going to do advanced level mathematics, you will have 2 other subjects too. So there would be people doing IT with physics, there would be people doing chemistry and physics. No matter whatsoever, I mean, the content that you have to know is going to be much higher, right? For the time being, without thinking about the number of, let's say, books, we would think that the content volume, I'll use a modulus sign, O-level modulus is less than or equal to 10 times A-level modulus, I would say, right? Modulus stands for the magnitude, by the way, right? So this is about the content, right? So if you have a notebook, as a first thing, I would like you to write this down, and if the production team can support in terms of zoom in this square to the kids so that they can write it down. So this is based on content and the context. This is the difference between O levels and A levels. I'm just wondering, what is this 0? This is 10, right? Okay. So this is the context and the content. You can see what sort of a small exam that you have done. So if you have some sort of ego that if I get 9 A's, then it's very easy for me to get 3 A's. That is wrong. I have seen so many 9 A's getting 3 F's, right? So that is very possible. So if you have got 9 A's, don't think that you can get 3 A's, because your 9 A's and 3 A's has no connection at all, right? And if you have got, let's say, less than 9 A's, imagine, let's say you get 6 A's, or maybe 5 A's, I don't know, 3 A's, or maybe for your mathematics you get C grade, still you can get 3 A's. So don't think that if your results are lower than this majority acceptance, right, that you will get low grades in A levels. That is not going to happen too, right? So anyone who's like confident about their O level studies, or the people who are inconfident about what they have done in O levels, when you come to A levels, we accept you as fresh students, fresh brains. With whatever the thing that you have, we accept you. Whether you are male or female, whether you are coming from some sort of a religion, whether you are coming from some sort of a region, whether you are coming from some other country, actually we don't mind, right? So this is just a mere citation of the content delivery, but I will tell you some good things about advanced level mathematics and maybe learn a few lessons while learning that. So there are 500,000 nearly kids writing O levels every year, and 250,000 or else 50% or more, 50% or more fail O-level mathematics, O-level math. So first of all, I have to tell you, ordinary level mathematics is the easiest and the shittiest exam in the whole world, which is happening in Sri Lanka. So which is bit more low graded than Edexcel and Cambridge O levels too. So in any world you go, I mean anywhere in the world you go, Sri Lankan O levels is not acceptable, and they don't actually give you a shit. that you have got 9 A's in O-levels, actually that doesn't, count even, right? So if you fail maths, actually, you are not even considered as a, person who's worth living, right? In my perspective, right? I mean, because you are so dumb, right? But you are not, because you have chosen advanced level combined maths in the sense, I guess that you are at least confident that you have passed your O-level math, or maybe you already know that. However, so this is not our crowd, okay? So this is not our community. But don't envy them, because they can be your employees in the future, they can be your servants in the future, so you have to treat them good, right? Unless, you also, flop your, whatever the career pathways and go elsewhere, that is different. If not, they would probably work under you, so respect them. So we have 250,000 people coming into A-level. That's not how it works. Nearly 210,000 only take in A-levels, because there are dropouts, right? The people who think that after O-level, even if I have passed, I don't want to pursue A-levels, but I will go and do a private university degree. Or there are people who think that I will adopt with my father's or my mother's business. And also there could be people who are thinking that maybe, I go somewhere, travel and learn the life, and later I will do my other exams. So there are people like that. So out of this 210,000, nearly 60% in our country are doing art and commerce, A-level arts and A-level commerce. That is not a bad thing, by the way, because majority of the jobs are placed in these avenues, even though you like it or not. Most of the corporate government jobs and also corporate clerical jobs, corporate accountancy, right, business related, most of the jobs are in this category. So maybe that is one reason why people tend to move with A-level art or maybe A-level commerce streams. But when it comes to science, there's another niche where you don't get like all 40% doing science. It's not like that. Like 30%, right? Like 30%, which means out of 210,000, if you notice, 70,000 to 90,000 people, depending on the year, this is called the science stream. That means bio and math. Bio and math. And now we have ICT also, so I'll put bio, math and ICT. From the whole country, for a particular batch, you have 70,000 to 90,000 kids. So, out of this 70,000 to 90,000 kids, the people who are doing advanced level in English medium is like 20%. That brings it down to like 18K. Okay? Something like that. That means 18,000 people doing advanced level science stream, in the sense it could be math, it could be bioscience, or maybe including IT, but in English medium. Out of this, the majority are doing what? Biological sciences. Because there is an aspiration and inspiration set in this country that if you are a doctor, you are treated like a god. Of course, I mean, they are being treated like a god, and it is not bad, because sometimes they can save a life, for sure, right? But I mean, as a country, our literacy is very low, even though people are telling that we are literate. People can write and read, but it doesn't mean that we are a literate country. In terms of IT literacy, in terms of email literacy, in terms of tech literacy, in terms of futuristic literacy, we are like so far below, right? So that is why still in this country, doctors are treated like gods, because even if you are a doctor, even if you are a cleaner, I think both are the same, because the people who are cleaning our mess is the part which is hardest to do. So when I was in England, we had cleaners come into our apartment. Cleaning per hour rate is more than 60 pounds, right? So sometimes they earn more than doctors, and all are treated equally, and there's no big gap. So even in my life, I don't actually care about the profession that you hold. So even if you become like an astronaut, after learning from me, or even if you become a good, master seller of bullock fitter, right? I would treat both of you at the same level, right? But I will visit your workplaces if you invite me with the same vibe, right? So it won't change, right? So because of that, aspiration and the inspiration of this dumb country, out of this 18,000, nearly 12,000 are doing biological sciences, right? But the university entry is not there for 12,000 people in this country. Therefore, majority of them shatter their dream, and sometimes they become an attendant nurse. I don't know whether they are doing it even, or maybe they become a dental surgeon, or maybe they will teach someone, right? So that is how the biological stream is moving on. But there are very good people who has got like top ranks and gone to top class universities, not only in Sri Lanka but also in other countries, and has won the world by doing biology. So I do not disrespect that stream. What I am telling is the number of kids attempting the stream is too high, because less opportunity, more people, is going to be a chaos. So that is not been delivered. So that is one reason for that. So now let's talk about the remaining students who are doing English medium. Let's say around 6,000 students from the whole country doing advanced level math as a subject. So out of these 6,000, we have few people here, but there are more people outside, and all these 6,000, if you take at once, majority, I would say 90% would say that they are looking to become an engineer, right? Some people do not know even the fields of engineering that they can follow. They just want to become an engineer, like the biology people want to become doctors, right? By the way, this doctor term is also wrong. It has to be a physician or a surgeon, but I told you, right? So doctor is usually given a name, when you get a PhD. But however, so this 90% who are willing to become engineers, they have different sort of fields, Especially as a developing country, in our country, civil engineering is very famous, right? Which means you build houses, and you do big constructions like buildings, right? And you do constructions based on not maybe building, just a building, maybe apartments, right? Maybe commercial workplaces, maybe hotels, right? So there could be so many types of development and construction projects in this country, because we are a developing country. Even the port city is a construction. So each and every place where the construction is happening, civil engineers are existing, right? Not only civil, they will need the support of electrical and electronic engineers. So electrical and electronic engineers are also employed, not only in this country but also other countries all around the world. And then there's telecommunication engineering, right? And there is very famous thing happening these days that's called mechatronics and mechanical. And then we have automobile and automotive. That means like you are specifying about vehicles, right? And maybe it's maintenance, right? And then we have aerospace engineering and aeronautical engineering. So both are like nearly the same but different. Aerospace is something else, aeronautical is something else. Aerospace is like here, aeronautical is like somewhere here in terms of the height that they are moving on the space, right? I mean, if you take the earth like this maybe. However, other than these fields, there are so many other variations of engineering, right? So that you can actually work on very big corporates like software industry we see today. So if you move into software engineering, then there are big companies that you know by name like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Zoom, I don't know, there are so many companies nowadays. If you are a qualified software engineer with certain skills, you always have the opportunity, maybe Oracle, who knows. So apart from all these cases, now you can see this software engineering, right, has become one of the prominent targets of, so many people who are learning mathematics, right. So apart from this 90% of engineers, I will show you other paths that people can follow after learning advanced level combined mathematics and related subjects to that. There are 3 specific fields of classical learning that is always open for people who are learning mathematics. So number 1, you can become a scientist. Number 2, you can become a researcher. Number 3, you can become a mathematician. Right? So scientists, so they actually depend on so many experimentations. So these are the people, work with lot of big universities even in our country, and sometimes they become demonstrators, sometimes they become lecturers, sometimes they become chancellors, right? Researchers have the same path, but at the meantime they can publish research papers and maybe bring one of their authentic ideas to the world as a concept, right? Now you have heard about the scientists in the history like Newton, right? He wrote a book called Principia of Mathematica, right? I mean, he was a scientist, he was not a mathematician, right? So you have heard about Galileo Galilei, who did this experiment from, Giza, what is that place called? There's some tower, right? I can't remember the name of that, Giza Tower. So those are scientists. I mean, there are so many scientists like Faraday, right? I mean, I can't remember names now. J.J. Thomson, right? I mean, the people who are in chemistry, people who are in physics. I mean, but science is very incomplete if I tell you, because it depends on assumptions, and then you experiment the assumption, and then you take the observations, and then you conclude. But sometimes you go with the percentage of 90% accuracy, 99% accuracy, because it cannot be 100% correct. This is why all around the world there is still arguments between scientific concepts, whether the Big Bang theory is correct or the string theory is correct, whether the waves are true or whether the particles are true, whether the photons are true, whether the light is there or not. I mean, they have so many arguments, but I mean, it's fine, because that's how the science develops. And after some time it goes through a paradigm shift. For an example, when we were young, I mean, like, in the sense, like when I was like age of 10, I would say, I haven't seen the concept called computer, I have only heard. And my father brought me a computer when I was in grade 7, that was with a hard disk of 5 GB, right? So the way I look at the world with 5 GB, Pentium 1 PC, and the world you see maybe with a Macintosh of 256 or maybe more than that terabytes, is 2 different worlds, I would say, right? So the science or the scientific thinking has been developing since then, but there are inaccurate things. That is why you need a lot of scientists in the world, and these things cannot be done by engineers, because engineers are there to implement things, not to think. They are taught to think only during the university period, and they are given industrial training so that they can go into industries and then work and build the whole world, right? So scientists are totally different, right? They can be in the picture of a lecturer, they can be in the picture of a demonstrator, they can be in the picture of a chancellor, but I mean, with a lot of wisdom in them, with the researches that they have done and the papers that they are trying to write, or they have written, right? And becoming a mathematician, right, is the easiest thing or maybe the hardest thing in the world, because this is the only field in the world which has not given recognition in Nobel pricing. Nobel pricing, right? For the best scientist of the whole world in this particular year, the Nobel Prize is given, right? And if there is a person who has done really good contribution towards peace, yes, then you are given the award from Nobel. I mean, like, if I'll tell one of the names here, Tubikshan, correct? Tubikshan becomes the person who brings the peace to the world. Maybe after the 30 years, you can win the Nobel Prize. It doesn't matter what age you are in. For an example, even if you are 85 years old, but then you bring the peace to the whole world or maybe a region of the world, then you will get the Nobel Peace Prize. But the person who introduced Nobel Prize is called Alfred Nobel. I think you know that guy. Alfred Nobel's wife had a illicit relationship with a mathematician. So because of that, mathematicians are not given the Nobel Prize. That's how mathematicians are treated. But don't worry, not all the mathematicians are naughty like that. So, I mean, Alfred Nobel did some wrong thing, I feel. But personally, you know, maybe Alfred Nobel is correct, because maybe he felt, I don't know, like hurt, or maybe like jealous, or maybe like envy against mathematicians. That is possible, because Alfred Nobel is coming from the science tribe. So these people are very human, to be honest, and they have feelings, because they do experiment with the lively existing things. So they have the vibe of the human. So scientists we can consider as normal humans. Researchers little out of the human vibe, because they live with, you know, statistics coming from different areas, and like, you know, they live their own universe. Whereas mathematicians sometimes cannot be considered as humans, because they do not take the questions of the real life like a normal person would do. For an example, if Alfred Nobel was a mathematician, he would have given the best prize for the mathematician, rather, you know, removing him from the, you know, Nobel pricing, right? But if you want to become a mathematician and then also to get an award, we have a separate award called Fields Medal. Fields Medal is given for a mathematician whose age is less than 40. If you are 40 plus, then you are not considered as a genius, by the way. If you are less than age of 40, and if you solve something which has not been solved yet so far in mathematics, or you find something, you know, authentic, but still in mathematics you will call that it has been discovered, because in mathematics you cannot find new things. If something is found, if it is proved to be true, that means it should have been there somewhere, so someone has discovered, simple as that, right? So you are not given a credit, but maybe you can put your name behind it, right? So the Field Medal comes with a big price, like, you know, a few million US dollars nowadays. And the recent past, there's only one person who got this Fields Medal. That was in 1992. He was Andrew Wiles, and he proved the Fermat's last theorem, and it took 650 some years to solve the, you know, question. So I mean, of course he should get this, right? Fields Medal. So becoming a mathematician, you know, is a different target that anyone can have, right? But I would say it is the hardest task in this field of mathematics. And then you can work for CIA, maybe you can work for Scotland Yard, all the secret agencies run by mathematicians, or you can become an artist who are doing like nice, you know, video productions with creative thinking. You can become a filmmaker. I mean, you can become, I don't know, a gambler, right? You can become a person who is analyzing gambling, working for casinos, right? So, I mean, there are so many fields, you know, when you become a mathematician. You can become a strategist, you can actually, you know, build companies, and you can become an war artist if you are a mathematician. So, I mean, a mathematician can actually, you know, break or make the world, right? And they have been doing that since Alan Turing's age. The Second World War was stopped within 6 months' time, only because Alan Turing could break the Enigma machine made by Germans. And that is the reason why we have this beaten apple, you know, at the backside of the Apple phone. This beaten apple is because of Alan Turing, because he was later found to be gay, and he had to eat a poison apple, because at that moment in England becoming gay was a heresy. So like if you eat the apple, then you can suicide. That is called euthanasia. So he got the euthanasia because he wanted to die as a gay person, right? So he actually represented his gender identity and died, right? But he is the person who's behind the hexadecimal numbering, and the reason why we have computers today and even the mobile phones. So I think mathematicians have done some few things, no, right? So technically speaking, that is the final target that anyone can become if you learn mathematics. And I'm happy to say that I'm a part of that tribe, being a mathematician professionally, but not got the Fields Medal yet so far, right? I'm still 34 years old, so I have 6 years to attempt to get the Fields Medal. But I mean, I have more targets than that. But I mean, in case if I get some spare time, I wouldn't even think. I will jump and try some sort of problem to work out for like 1 year and solve. If not, I'll find few girlfriends and have some fun, no? At the same time. However, now you can decide whatever the personality you want to be. Whether you want to be an aerospace engineer, aeronautical engineer, physicist, scientist, I mean like chemist, right? Mathematician, accountant. I mean, you can become anyone after learning mathematics, right? So there are some other streams. You can see the limitations are already set. For an example, you go through the commerce stream, you become the top chartered accountant in the country, and you go to the economy bureau of a particular country, and then you become the head of economy. But still you have to depend on a mathematician's idea in terms of strategy, because economist is lacking some sort of area that we call correlations and regressions, which comes only with numbers, and the knowledge of economy or the historical economical changes is not going to affect, but the instantaneous time dilation of the currency will make the decision. So that is why in most of the countries, mathematicians and statisticians are handling the finance, right? So one example, right? And even if you become a doctor, I mean, only with the stethoscope you can't do things, right? I mean, like, you becoming a doctor and have a stethoscope, game is so, that is wrong. I mean, there are so many machines, MRI scanners, I mean, like, so many things. I'm just telling MRI scanner because that's the only thing that I know precisely. But all these machines, technology has built on mathematicians and then, electronic and electrical engineers' knowledge. So without these machines, today in 21st century, doctors are nothing, right? So technically speaking, the decision that you made in terms of doing mathematics is a good thing. That's a good decision. But if you made this decision only because your parents wanted it, then that's a wrong decision. Okay? If your parents said, Puta, do maths or bio for your A-levels, because our family has some sort of, position in this area, and I have learned really good, and your sisters and your cousin, brothers, they have done very good studies, so you can't do art and commerce, you have to do A-level maths, then tell your parents to your face, I'm not doing maths, bio because Decipher said so. I'm doing art and commerce. From next day, you better change. Even if your parents are hitting you for like 2 weeks at a stretch, still do whatever the thing that your mind says. If not, you will fail in your life, or maybe you will pass in your life, but still you will like suffer for the whole lifetime, right? So when you're making the decision doing A-level combined maths, or let's say A-level science stream, that decision should be yours, not your parents, because your life is your virtue. Your parents did something really good and you have to respect them, that is true, but that is not by sacrificing your dreams, that is by fulfilling your dreams and showing them what you really have in your mind, right? So if there's any parent listening to me on this session, please help these kids to live their life at the dream that they see. Simple as that. Right? And I have been doing parents meetings since 2013 in schools. I said the same thing, and there are parents who has had fights with me, no problem, because after 6-7 years they come to me and say thank you, right? So I don't mind telling these things, and everything that I tell, I imagine that at least you guys are 17 plus, so nearing 18, so I consider my A-level kids as adults. I don't treat them like kids, and I want them to take them to their own responsibility structure so that they will win the examination for them, not for the parents, not for the neighbors, not for the colleagues, right? Not for the show off. They get the results because they really want to win it. That is my attitude. I am not going to change it, right? If you want, you can find a different master, who will come and do the slavery for you. I don't do that. And I don't want my kids to become slaves also. I want my kids to talk. Whenever they have a question, to speak up. I didn't understand this. Even during the class time, if I am explaining something very deep, but if you do not understand, disturb me, ask the question. Simple as that. Right? And use the chat proactively, because we are learning online. So you have to chat and say like, I don't understand this, so on and so forth, so that we can communicate. And there is a certain plan of lessons that we are going to have. So I will be giving you certain, not big, very small homework questions based on the tutorial that I am going to give you. And I expect that you will do it, because I am not the all-level teacher. Come and check in your work. I am not going to ask you to send your work that I am going to check, because I am not going to check. I am only giving you the proper guidance how to get the A grade in A-levels with a profound, solid base of understanding, not just knowing what to do. I don't need people who can do a paper, but if they can't apply that in the real world, then I am making a useless product, right? So your knowledge is given the zero, due diligence from my end. I am not going to care if you have the biggest knowledge about mathematics or anything, because knowledge is not the game here. Knowledge is not the key, is the first term to know. Knowledge is not the key. Heard me? Knowledge is not the key. That is wrong. That was in 1980s, when internet was not found, or maybe even before that. Knowledge is everywhere. ChatGPT can process faster than you in terms of knowledge. So if you are like coming with knowledge, we have bunch of them knowledge thing. That is why a lot of people, even in this country, they are coming to these strikes and all, asking give me a job, because they only have knowledge, they don't have skill, right? So I don't want any one of you to walk on the street and asking for a job from politicians, because politicians should come to you and basically get you advices. That sort of a brain you have to manifest, right? So now we'll go to the content. That means advanced level combined mathematics content. Now closely observe how the game is planned. Very nice plan, okay? This examination structure, when it's compared with Cambridge and Edexcel, when it's come to A-level math, A-level math content in Sri Lanka is much higher than Cambridge and Edexcel. You see the difference? In O-levels, it is very shitty compared to Cambridge and Edexcel. But A-level is very high. Now you know why there is some sort of a gap and some strange things are happening. Because the examination gap is not standardized. So people think if I do good in O-levels, I can do good in A-levels, and that's not going to happen. So the people who knows this, they know the trick. So they actually learn with a calm attitude, not living in the competition. So simply, our syllabus has pure mathematics and applied mathematics. That's the name. 2 papers, and every paper consists of 2 parts. So we have part A, here also part A, part B, and here also part B. Very simple. And we have 7 big questions. Out of that, 5 you have to definitely answer. Each and every question contributes 150 marks to the final mark. Similarly, 5 questions out of 7 for applied paper, 150 marks per question. So you can see there's 750 marks here. Similarly, 750 marks here. And you have 10 short questions in the part A. So there you have 25 marks for each and every question, but there are 10 questions like that. Similarly, 25 marks and 10 questions. There you have the remaining 250 for applied and the remaining 250 for pure. So you can see when you collect, there's 1000 marks here, and when you collect this, you have 1000 marks here. So out of 2000, right, you get the mark. Out of 2000, some sort of a mark is what you are getting. and then whatever the mark this is, if you call it x, you divide this x by not 10 but 20 to get your grade. So if you get 75 plus, technically it is called a grade. If you get 65 plus, technically it is called a B grade. If you get 55 plus, technically it is called a C grade. If you get 45 plus, it is called a S grade technically. But this is not how the marks are given. We have something called the mean deviation. That means a graph like this, and this is the mark. So if this is 0, if this is 100, this is number of students writing the exam. There is a graph like this. You look at the marks. So in some years this graph is towards this way. That means the paper is hard. Okay, that means you have very like less numbers in more people. So then that is hard. And there are cases where it is shifted this way. That means you have an easy paper compared to, so you have more people getting big marks. So then this 75 can change according to that. You get my point? And this 65 can change. So if you have a hard paper, the pass mark will be different. If you have a difficult paper, it will be different. But however, the number of students who are being selected to the universities is a fix, and it does not depend on ABCs. It depends on the Z score. That means for mathematics you have a graph like this, for chemistry you have a graph like this, for physics you have a graph like this, for ICT you have a graph like this. Whatever the 3 subjects you do, based on the positioning on this graph, they take the Z score and then add them and take the median of that. Based on that, the rankings are placed. So based on the ranks only, the merits are being decided. So very simple examination this is, right? So that is how you win the game for sure, right? But good news, even if you end up at S grade for mathematics, I would still say that you are a genius. Why? Because as I told you, only 18,000 people doing science and maths in this country in English medium, and that is out of 250,000 who are passing all levels. That is out of 500,000 with 250,000 unwanted souls of this country, right? So you are already in this caliber, so you should be happy. But if you have come so far and if you are not reaching the A grade or maybe B grade or at least C grade in A-level mathematics, then once again you have come very close to a nice opportunity and you are losing it. So don't lose it, because you have 24 months in advance, right? You can do so many things. But if you do so many hard work, you will fail again. Now, if you do a lot of hard work with the time, you will still fail, because advanced level is not about doing hard work, it is doing smart work, right? Having a plan, having some sort of discipline, very simple things. For an example, you have a birthday party of one of your friends tomorrow, and at the meantime you have a mathematics session and which you have to complete some sort of a target. Now you are in a decision making position whether I am going to go to this friend's birthday or I am going to go for the math session. So your heart would say go to the party, your brain would say go to the session. So then you have to take a coin and flip it, and if it says go to the party, you should go to the party. If it says go to the session, you should go to the session. It should be simple like that. You should not be a person thinking too much, should I go or not. Do what your heart says, but follow your mind. So even if you go to the party, if you can join online, we are fine. You get my point? And if you really want to come to the session and be 100% focused on the session, not to have party during that few hours, that is better, right? And don't be too disciplined like I'm going to work 24 hours a week for mathematics. So I have this timetable, I am only doing mathematics at this session. And when you do the work, you go to your mom and say, see mom, I have done so many work. Then mother will be like, wow puta, you are learning mathematics very good. You are going to get 3 A's. That is kindergarten, and don't show your parents. Right? Don't show your parents that I have done this thing, that thing. That is not necessary. If parents really want to observe you, they will come and check. And whenever they come and check whether you have done some work, there should be something that they can see. It's not that you have to show them off. That period is gone. When we are in grade 5, we sometimes try to impress parents and get presents. But this present, advanced level, is for you. It is not for your parents. So any parent listening this session here today, know that your students are adults now, almost, and they have to take the responsibility of this exam. And I am not a strict teacher. I am very friendly. But on the very first day, I have to set my rules precisely. So that is why I am telling. Very simple. This examination is so simple. So simple, I'll tell you. These 7 questions I will tell you right now from which topic it is coming. That I can tell you. Not only me, anyone doing A-level can tell that. Not only that, I can tell you exactly that most of the paper, I mean like 90% of the question paper, all the questions and answers are given. You don't have to answer the paper. You have to prove why this is true. Okay? So, you should be able to prove things rather show things. That's why I said showing your book with lot of work to a parent is not going to be a sensible thing to do. Because even they might not understand, or even if they understand, that's no point. Because by looking at your book, they won't be able to understand whether you have understood. Because that is impossible. You get my point? Right? So, if you can just, zoom this production team, if you can zoom this. So, students can write this down as their second, note of the day. So, they know the examination structure and the basic marking structure and the Z-score variations and out of how many that they are in numbers here. So, I'll give you 2 minutes, you can write down that as well. හරි දාගෙන ඉවරයිද? Someone has raised the hand. Anyone has a question? If anyone has a question, you can ask, okay? So far, any question? Okay, the people who understood what I was discussing for these first few minutes of the session, can you raise your hand? I mean like press the button of the raising the hand. If you have understood precisely what you have actually been taught today, like the very first few things. Right. So Steny got it, Abhimugi got it, and I forgot your name again. Malisha got it, Azma got it, and then we have Yanuka got it, Senuli, Mayuni, and Sadhanima. So all 9 people have got the idea, it seems. Right, nice. Okay. Now I am going to teach you a little bit of trigonometry. Do you like it? Ahala dena trigonometry kiyalega. Ahala dena. Okay. First I will teach you a little bit of trigonometry, and then I will tell you where we are going to need it as well. Otherwise no point teaching. Write down a small topic in your notebook that you have. Trigonometry. Or there's another name we can give. The relationship. The relationship. You can call marriage, love affair, anything. Between angles and numbers. For my easiness of delivering this content in an edutainment format to you, I call trigonometry as angels and demons. Fine, no? Right? So that's just another name. I mean, there's another guy who has taught a book on the same name. Da Vinci Code ලියපු author ගේ නම දන්නේ කෙනෙක් කියනවා. Da Vinci Code. එක හරකෙක් දන්නේ නේ. Dan Brown. Okay? I was just testing you guys. So Dan Brown wrote about some other angels and demons based on DNA, but here this trigonometry angels and demons is going to be like RNA, no copies, all brand new. So the relationship between angles and numbers is called trigonometry. So which means first of all we will need to know what an angle is, isn't it? Now this is the hard part, because when I ask questions, if you do not respond, this might not work. So I will suggest you to use the chat on the WhatsApp group, because this chat here is not something visible, right? So I'm going to the group, that is 2026 A-level group 9 colors of math. So I will write from here while the online session. I shall ask my questions here too, right? So I want you to answer. So the very first question, I'll give you 5 minutes or even 10 minutes to attempt. I think all of you are on the WhatsApp group, right? Please raise your hands if you are in the WhatsApp group. I just want to see all 9 hands so that I can easily communicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Abhimugi and Muni, you are not on the group? Okay, Muni is there. Right, okay, all are there. So my question number 1 to you, just 10 minutes you can use. What is an angle? Please type your definition there. What is an angle? What is an angle? So you have 10 minutes, think deep and write down. Type down. And on your notebook, please write down the topic as trigonometry and then the relationship between angles and numbers. If you want, you can write on a side angels and demons, and the very first topic, angle. Awaiting the answers on the group. I want all 9 of you to give a definition, not only 2. So we have 3 definitions so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 definitions now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 definitions. We need 3 more. We have 6 more minutes. 3 more definitions waiting. Asma has been the fastest so far, and Abhimugi has been the latest to reply, and there's 3 more definitions we are looking at. What is an angle? So we have 2 more waiting. So we have 7 definitions so far. I told you mathematics has to be two-way communication. So if you do not answer, then I do not know where you are. And if I know where you are, then I know where you should go. So it's very easy for me to, take you there. But if I do not know where you are, then I will go somewhere and you will go somewhere else. Okay, we have, let's see who has not answered. Asma is done. Ekai, dekai, tunai, hatarai, ayai. Yeah, there should be 9 people. So I got only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 answers. 2 people has not answered. Can someone support me to find the name? Because now you guys can see, And don't consider Abdul, because that is a machine here. And don't consider me, because that's also. Abhita also a production team machine. So remainder is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With 29, no? So I'm just wondering, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 answers I have got. So 2 people has not answered. Maybe another one came right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one Horagedia typing. Right. I can see the 9th one typing. I told you, I don't do slavery. If you work only, I will go to the next step. And if parents come to teach me, I will chase them out as well. And if they want to learn, they can also learn, sit and learn, That's how I work. If you want to work with me, you have to go by my rules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And Adisha is typing. And I will write my definition, and also I will type. Because if I ask you to type, if I am not doing the same thing, then that's wrong, no? So I will also give my definition as well as type. Angle is the measurement of space between 2 arms. Now you might wonder what are the arms, right? Let's say there are 2 walls like this, having some sort of angle between each other. There are 2 walls, right? So this angle is also an angle. If you have a book, right, open like this is an angle. And if you have a compass, right, something like this is an angle, right? So arms can be even planes or even linear elements. But if you draw something on the board, right, this is also an angle. And we fond of using theta. And in mathematics, theta is sometimes given in degrees, right? So let's say you take Greek letter theta degrees. That is like in the kindergarten level. Or you can make it gradients, or you can make it radians with naked theta. So let's learn what are gradients, radians and degrees. Because if there is a measurement, there should be some sort of calculation as well. And the angles can be 3-dimensional also. Like if you take the earth and place a cone, that is also an angle, but 3-dimensional. So then we measure them in steradians. Those are called solid angles, but unfortunately that is not in your syllabus. So we are not going to learn 3-dimensional angles, we only learn 2-dimensional angles. So if you consider the angle subtended at the center of a circle as 360, then 1/360th of it is called 1 degree, which is the distance between the tip and 1 inch of your finger. And when you look at 2 stars and keep it 2 stars away from you, so if there are 2 stars on the sky and you keep your index finger, and if you look through the finger, this is the tip of your finger and this is 1 inch down the finger, this is called a degree, 1 degree. This is like a handmade measurement later adopted by Euclid in his Elements. So Euclid is the first person who came up with a compendium of geometric theories. So he came up with the definition 360. When you divide a circle to equal 360 parts, the angle subtended by the chord towards its center is 1 degree. Okay, so this we all know, right? We all know what is a degree. Am I correct? Degree is very simple. So what is a gradient? That is when you consider this whole thing is only 100 units. There's only 100 units. And if you take one part of that, that is called a gradient. But good news, this is not in use anymore. That was a classical measurement, not in your A-level syllabus, not in your O-level syllabus, nowhere. So gradient is never used. But we use radians. That is started with R. Radians. So now, how many of you have learned the definition of a radian so far? Radian. Physics, chemistry, mathematics, somewhere you have heard there is something called a radian. Only one person? Okay, Sandalima has also heard. Steny has heard. Mayuni, have you heard? Yes. Abdul, not Abdul. Malisha, you haven't heard? No, right? Senuli? Seems like no. Okay. So first of all, let me type this definition on your group, right? I will type my definition on your group and explain the degree as well on the group. And while I am explaining, you can think of question number 2. I will put that on the group. What is a radian? What is a radian? That is our question number 2. But don't answer right now. Let me finish answering your first question and also explain the degree on your WhatsApp group. Our question number 2 will be, what is a radian? And we will learn a radian precisely today so that you can even teach your friends or even your neighbors or even your dog. I don't mind. So think about that question while I answer your first question, okay? Okay, I am waiting for the answer. Question number 2, what is a radian? When 3 answers are in, I am going to start explaining. Only 3 answers I am expecting because I know not all the people are confident about the radian so far. So I am expecting only 3 answers here, not all 9. You can explain whatever the way that you can explain it. Only 3 people I am expecting. When 3 answers are in, I am going to explain what is a radian. So you have once again maybe another 10 minutes, even 5 minutes would do actually. Very good. Very good. Actually all 3 answers are spot on. So if you notice, the very first measurement we had for angle is little, too simple, right? I mean, you come up with a convention that, okay, let's divide it 360 and let's take one part as 1 degree. Seems like very, note here. I mean, like you decide on yourself. It is not that democratic. right? But if you imagine there is a circle like this, right? If you imagine that there is a circle like this, right? If you imagine that there is a circle like this, right? And then this is the center, and this is the radius, and the length of the radius is given by simple r. And if you take this guy and keep it on the circumference of the circle such that the curved distance is also equal to r along this circle. So this curved distance is now equal to the radius, and then the angle subtended here, if that is theta, then this theta is called 1 radian, RAD, right? So this is the definition of a radian. But then you must think like, okay, we understood, but like, what can we do with this? Right? I mean, like, degrees is also fine, no? Why this? So then we can think like this. Imagine if the angle is given like this, okay? Think calm, don't think very deep, it's on the surface. So if 1 radian is this, if you have another radius placed here, same length, so then this is going to be how many radians? 2 radians, correct? Right? Likewise, some number of radians, let's say n number of radians, so let's say theta in radians, should cover the whole circumference, right? Am I correct? Some number of radii should be able to be placed on the circumference of the circle, am I correct? So the circumference of any circle is given by 2 pi r, am I correct? Isn't it? That is 2 pi r, right? So now we can tell, so imagine if there is some sort of number times this, 1 radian, so we cannot call it theta anymore. It's going to be something like this. It's 1 radian, right? Because we have taken that as a unit. So number of radians. So if you consider, now you can see something very strange, because the number of radians is equivalent to the circumference, am I correct? Which covers, because it is just a number, right? We are not using anything specific, it is just a number. So if you think other way around, same concept in a different manner, that means there could be so many, different radii, but for a given circle it's fixed. So there should be some sort of constant number of radians doing this, no? Isn't it? So now if you consider degree measurement, that means when you go around 360 degrees, right? When you go around 360 degrees, it should be equivalent to covering the whole circumference by something into the radius, and we know that it is 2 pi radians, right? It's 2 pi radians, because if you forget the fact that the radius is r, we are only considering the number, right? Isn't it? Around the circle it has to be 2 pi radians. But if you still fail to understand this combination, there's another way of understanding this easily. So we think that this definition is basically trying to measure the angle, right? So we can write whatever the length in the circumference, right? So we can call it the length of the chord length of the chord. You know what is a chord, right? In mathematics, if you take this is called a chord from here to here. So let's call this length as C, because that's the length of the chord. You can call this anything, by the way. Shall we call it S? For a reason I am doing that, because if you put C, then you might think that it is circumference. No, I just want this to be some sort of chord. It doesn't have to be the circumference of a circle. Are we clear? I am considering just one part. So I want to find how many radians are there. So then we can divide this by the radius of the circle. So radius of the circle is not going to be different. It is still going to be R, correct? And this is the angle, and this angle is now unknown, isn't it? This theta is unknown. So I can write this length of the chord divided by the radius of the circle is nothing but S divided by R. But if you notice, now we have a definition. What is the definition? You know, if you place the radius on the circumference of the circle, then if you place just one of them, that is called 1 radian. If you place 2 of them, that is called 2 radians. If you place 3 of them, that is called 3 radians. So I am asking, how many radii can be placed on this S? Is called S divided by R, is also the angle in radians, right? So theta in radians. So if you know the length of the chord and the radius, when you divide them, it should give you the angle in radians. Are we clear? Okay, everyone. Raise your hand. So if that is the case, if you consider the whole circumference, the length of the chord will be 2 pi r divided by r is now full circle in radians, which is equivalent to 360 degrees. So the r cancels, so you get 2 pi radians is same as 360 degrees. So there we get a nice conversion that pi radians is equal to 180 degrees. Now we have a conversion between radians and degrees. Are we clear? And please put this down as your note under the radians, and I will also take a snap and put it to your groups. Please put this note. Now you know radians better. Get the note down. Get the note down, and I have sent a reference on the WhatsApp group as well. You can refer to that when you are getting the note down. Very simple. I am giving you time so that all the people can write. You can hear me, right? Okay, so I am going to erase the board. I hope you all got this note easily. So now we have a small synopsis that radians can be very useful in terms of angles. So our previous feelings about angles, now we have to convert to radians. So if two pi radians is equivalent to 360 degrees, then we can state that pi radians And good news, if it is radians, from today onwards you are not writing radians. If the angle is naked, no signature, that means it's radian, because that's a standard measurement. So pi radians should be 180 degrees. So my question number 3, I want you to write 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120 degrees, 150 degrees, 180 degrees, 210 degrees, 240 degrees, 270 degrees, and what else? 45 degrees, 135 degrees, 330 degrees. This is enough. So convert to radians. Shall we do this quickly? This is question number 3. So convert all of them to radians. You can do it in 5 minutes for sure. And when you are done with all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, take a small photograph and put it to the WhatsApp group. So I am expecting 9 answers, okay? Expecting 9 answers. I'll give you 5 to 10 minutes. Do it quickly. 180, that is pi, so 180 divided by 6 is 30, therefore this is pi over 6. And if it is 180, that is pi, if it is 6, that is this divided by 3, that is pi over 3. If it is 180, that is pi, then that is 90, that is pi over 2. If 60 is pi over 3, then 120 is 2 pi over 3. If 150 is what we want to search, 30 is pi over 6, that is 5 times that is 5 pi over 6. And 180 is pi, that we know. 210 is 30 times 7, so that is 7 pi over 6. 240 is 60 times 4, that is 4 pi over 6, or we can tell 2 pi over 3. And 270 is 3 times 90, that is 3 pi over 2. 45 is 90 divided by 2, that is pi over 4. 135 is 45 times 3, that is 3 pi over 4. And 330 is 30 times 11, that is 11 pi over 6. Is right? So answers are here, you can check yourself. If you have got wrong answers, correct them. If you have correct answers, don't make them wrong. Whether it's correct answers or wrong answers, doesn't matter. You just need to know that the combination between radians and degrees in simple sense is fine. That's all we need. And I'm going to erase the board because we are done with few concepts in radians, but we are not, having the exam tomorrow, so we don't have to be so hurried. We should have to calm down and think about what's next. Yeah. If you take a right angle triangle, okay, a right angle triangle, if this angle is theta, this is called the opposite side of the angle. Opposite side, right? And this is called the adjacent side. And this is called what? Hypotenuse. Height. Right? So we have the opposite side, adjacent side, and the hypotenuse. Right? So if it is sin theta, all level knowledge, is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Cos theta is adjacent over the hypotenuse. tan theta is opposite over the adjacent. And the reciprocate of sin theta is called cosec theta, and that is hypotenuse over the opposite. And this is sec theta secant sec theta, that is hypotenuse over the adjacent. And this is cot theta, and this is adjacent over the opposite. So I am going to give you a few images to understand, or maybe to have some sort of freedom in terms of these. Sin theta is a beautiful innocent girl. What? Sin theta is an innocent beautiful girl. I am not really good at drawing human images, so you have to depend on this. Cos theta is a ugly guy, right? Ugly guy, naughty. I don't know the naughty, ugly guy, right? Tan theta. Do you have anyone has blue color marker pen? No, right? So tan theta is a strange guy. Right. Tan theta is a strange guy. Cosec theta is the grandmother of sin. Cosec theta is the grandmother of sin. Now she is old. I don't know how to draw grandmother, but I mean, you can imagine, right? Grandmother. And sec theta is like, not an innocent girl, but like a naughty girl, sexy girl. But we can say this is the sister of cos, right? And cot theta is the grandfather of tan. So should be cool enough, but now old. That is cot theta, right? So we have sin. Sin is a beautiful innocent girl. Cos is an ugly guy. Tan is a strange guy. Amudu kolle. Cosec is the grandmother of sin. Sec is the sister of cos, but like naughty girl. And then cot theta is a grandfather of tan. Are we clear? This is just a story, right? And you will need this story to understand 52 identities of trigonometry. I am telling you 52 set identities in trigonometry that you are going to learn in the future. How many identities we have? 52. So there are 52 identities that we need to know exactly. For an example, sin square theta plus cos square theta equals 1. 1 minus sin square theta equals cos square theta. 1 minus sin square theta cos square theta. 1 plus cot square theta cosec square theta. 1 plus tan square theta sec. Likewise, you need to know them. Not in your memory, but when you think, you should be able to tell because you know the proof. So when you want to learn these things, we will need these characters. For an example, sin is nice, cos is ugly. So sin square theta plus cos square theta is when you add nice with ugly, and there is 1. So you have sin square theta plus cos square equals 1. But then we need to know how to prove it. Right? So sometimes stories can help, but at the meantime you need to know the proof. Like history, in history you know most of the things based on stories. But if you do not have a proof, then that is just a story. You get my point? So likewise, we will have to continue a big journey of trigonometry, and we just started. So I am not going to put you in trouble by giving so much of content today. Instead, I am going to explain a little bit on trigonometry, algebra and calculus in your A-level syllabus. Right? Take your 10 minutes break and let's start again. Right. So let's talk about trigonometry, algebra and calculus. Trigonometry, we have algebra and we have calculus. Okay, So keep your focus to these 3 topics that I'm going to discuss. I mean, these are going to be very wide topics, by the way. Trigonometry is needed for both pure mathematics and also applied mathematics. Okay. For your simplifications, you need to have the trigonometry knowledge for both. Similarly, algebra, you're going to need this for pure mathematics as well as applied mathematics. Okay. And calculus, once again, you're going to need this for pure mathematics and also applied mathematics. But only with the knowledge of trigonometry, you have one main question in the pure paper, that is the 17th question, or else the last question of the pure paper, 17th question. Also there's 2 short questions, so that is 2 times 25, and this is 150 marks. If you learn trigonometry, which means you can get 150 and 50 here, 200 marks out of 2000. So if you notice, out of 2000, trigonometry delivers 10%. Also, it's all over the paper. So 10% directly and more than that because it's there everywhere. Algebra. So when you take algebra, in the pure paper, we have the quadratics as your 11th question, and then we have combinatorics as the 13th question of the paper, and complex numbers and matrices as the 12th question of the paper. So algebra itself is needed for both pure and applied, but this delivers, if you notice, 3 main questions. So 150 here, 150 here, and 150 here. That is 450 marks. And all together with this concept, that means quadratics, combinatorics and complex numbers, you will also have 3 short questions. That means another 75 marks. So 450 and another 75 is 525. So let's imagine that this is 500 marks. It should be 525, but let's say 500 marks. So if you notice that 500 is out of 2000, so that is 25%, correct? 25%. So if you are a master of algebra and trigonometry, but if you do not know anything, you can still get 35% of the whole paper, 35%, but that is still failed. Okay. Okay, someone is asking what is combinatorics. So combinatorics is permutations, combinations and mathematical induction and binomial theorem. So that you will learn usually in grade 13. Okay. Right. So when it comes to calculus, you have 2 main questions. One is differentiation, one is integration, and also this is needed in applied mathematics. But here definitely you have 300 marks. Also 2 short questions, one with limits and one with integration. Sometimes there is a differentiation question also. But imagine you have 350 marks at least here. That is not out of 1000 but 2000. Therefore this makes 17.5%. So if you are a master of trigonometry, algebra and calculus, like if you can at least do these questions, right, you can get 10%, 25%, that is 35, and 45, and that's going to be 52.5, right? So still that is a S grade, right? Now you understand there are three major lessons that everyone needs to know. That is trigonometry, algebra and calculus. Please write down a note. The prime three subject areas of advanced level combined mathematics would be, please write down. Three prime avenues. The best word would be prime. Three prime avenues of advanced level combined mathematics would be, three prime avenues of advanced level combined mathematics would be, number one, trigonometry. Number one, trigonometry. Number two, algebra. Number three, calculus. So we have trigonometry, algebra and calculus. And if you want, I'll ask the production team to zoom this. So if you have anything to be written, you can get it down. Someone questioned what is combinatorics. So you have permutations, combinations, mathematical induction, binomial theorem and applications of this. There's another small lesson called summation of series, but when you're learning that, we will go in detail, yeah? If you want, you can keep a small note on this, because today we are making a plan and I am to make sure that you all know the plan by the end of the day, yeah? Similarly, now I am going to talk about three topics in applied mathematics, okay? Like I came up with three prime objectives of pure mathematics, I will tell you three lessons in applied mathematics in a similar manner. Am I okay to erase this? If you are done with writing, just raise your hand, then I can erase. And I will ask them to zoom it for you. So let me erase this and talk about applied mathematics in a similar manner. And there's a good news about applied mathematics. So there's nothing that you bring from applied mathematics to pure mathematics. Whereas pure mathematics is needed in applied mathematics. So applied mathematics component is comparatively easier, because the content can be big but the understanding factors are very simple. So dynamics and statics, probability and statistics, center of mass and center of gravity. Okay. From dynamics and statics, you have specific questions like this. You have one question exactly coming out of relative velocity projectiles and VT curves, that is your 11th question. So that is 150. And simple O-level mathematics knowledge is enough to understand dynamics. Then the 12th question comes with relative acceleration and then impulsive tension and little bit of more applications dynamics, which involves circular motion, rotational motion and so on and so forth up to simple harmonic motion. So there you have the 13th question. So you have specific 3 questions in dynamics. Okay. So that is going to be 150 each. When you talk about not statistics, statics. So here you have some sort of connection. This statics question is connected to center of gravity. To build one more question, give you 150 marks, and that is the 16th question of the paper. And probability and statistics will give you the 17th question of the paper. So you can see, now we know 11th, 12th, 13th, 16th and 17th. So you might question, okay, what is this 14th question? You can question, right? What is the 14th question? And what is the 15th question? Good news, 14th and 15th are also coming from statics. But then the subject avenue is little different. You get my point? Subject avenue. For an example, here you are talking about friction, the angle of friction, and then the equilibrium, and then how to understand equilibrium, and the principles based on equilibrium. Sounds like physics, I know, but this is classical physics, right? Not, the application revive of Newton. This is theoretical physics, so this is very nice. So that is why we have dynamics, statics and those type of words. So this is your applied paper, and the 10 short questions are also divided among these 7 sections that you see, right? So applied mathematics is a very easy paper to catch, very easy. You just need to know the content, but this is like a maze, I'll tell you. If you are not good at pure mathematics, if you are not really good at pure mathematics, you cannot enter, because you enter vectors with the lesson called vectors. And vectors is inspired by complex numbers, right? So from pure, you have to learn some trigonometry, some algebra, and then come to vectors, and then you go to statics, and then you learn dynamics, then you learn probability and statistics with sets, and then center of mass and center of gravity, and also a few applications of real theoretical physics, and that's your applied mathematics. Are we clear? Very simple, right? But you have to keep focus, because there's a language part in it. You need to know how to read the question and get the understanding. And most of the time, once again, there are proofs that you have to do. It's going to be very simple, but your trigonometry and algebra has to be profound. That is why in advanced level classes, in the first 6 months time, we do the maximum on algebra and trigonometry, so that we make sure that you are really good at these 2 subject components. Now I think we are going to start with algebra and trigonometry. Am I correct? Right, at the meantime, we can look at vectors in applied mathematics. So, your first 3 months with me, first 3 months, that means June, July, August, if needed, even September, we will be working on trigonometry, algebra, and vectors in applied mathematics. And we will learn it to the core. And then we will learn limit of a function, that is a slight touch of calculus, right? So by the end of September or by the end of maximum October, you should be really good at trigonometry, algebra, vectors, and finally, as I told you, limit of a function, right? So in this 4 to 5 months, we will be meeting like 20 times. So these 20 times will fall on Saturdays from 1:30 to 4:30. So don't miss out that gateway, no matter what. Because those 20 sessions, you will learn like the core of this syllabus. Core. And I know for a fact, I have done it for like almost 10 years. So I know few tricks and flips that you can do in order to understand this thing easily, So my target is for you to have the easiest but the most the professional pathway towards learning advanced level combinations, not some kindergarten stuff, right? So if you are here to learn some kindergarten stuff, like a teacher is coming and doing all the questions on the board and you are writing down, that is not mathematics, that is called cookery. Most of the time in Sri Lanka, this is happening like a tutor is coming, a tutor, because he is called a tutor because he is giving tutorials. So you will get a tutorial, and on the tutorial you have so many questions, and teacher is doing so many questions on the board, and then you write it down, you think that you know A-level combined maths, basically you fail. And the majority fails once again, like in all levels. Here the failure percentage is much higher because we don't have a proper education system, unfortunately. In the school, these lessons are divided into tiny particles, like I don't know how they have done it, because NIE people have done science degrees, they are not coming from mathematical background, so they do not know how to divide this syllabus. So NIE people have given teachers a syllabus where the lessons are here and there, so that is why school education fails when it comes to advanced level combinations. But in Colombo schools and some Candy schools I have seen, they have two teachers, one person doing pure mathematics, one person doing applied mathematics. That is the only way where it can be solved in a school. But in majority of the schools, having 6,000 schools in our country doing advanced level science, all these schools have failed to notify this error and complain the authorities in the last 30 years. Right? So you don't worry about it. Maybe when you guys become education ministers or presidents in this country, try to change it. Keep a note. Right? But for the time being, we have to learn this like breaking a maze. You have to break this maze little by little, smoothly. And you have to enter this journey in a calm manner. Not like Pissu Ballo, you know. You are not going to like do questions like, you know, getting 1,000 tutes and asking tutes from your grandmother, asking tutes from your, you know, grandparents and dead people. You don't need so many questions. What you need is concepts, understanding, right? So don't go here and there asking for tutes. Machan, can I get that tute? Can I get you all the books? Those are crazy things, man. Because when I was in grade 6, I got my Lokuaki's book to learn science. She was doing A-level biology. For some craziness that I did in grade 6, even now I can remember Anvarastya, Arastya, Pragandastya, Urdhastya, you know, all these, you know, body elements in my mind. I don't know why I learned them. Right? So, I mean, don't get unwanted knowledge in your brain because it's not going to be helpful. For an example, if I break my hand, am I going to go to the doctor and tell, doctor, you know what, my Anvarastya has some sort of a problem and my Mahapatangile Pilimal Bhave is doing something here? I think that's the reason. Because doctors need know it, no, man, we don't need to know all the parts of the body, no. Right? So, likewise, you know, don't get unwanted knowledge into your mind if you are learning mathematics. For an example, if the sun goes around us or we go in around sun, is not going to be a problem for the people who are learning mathematics. Because it is not going to give you any sort of knowledge. By the way, for your knowledge, there is no such thing called we going around sun or sun going around us. There are only two perspectives, both are possible. Right? Some people had so many arguments in the past whether we are going around sun or sun is going around us. Actually, both can be possible based on the perspective. Since we are on the earth, we can see that sun is moving. If you go to the sun, which is not possible, but if you go to the sun, like if you imagine, then you will see the earth is going around you, simple as that. Right? But you don't have to worry about it. I mean, there's no point of worrying about it. For an example, if you worry about thinking the moon will fall down tomorrow, there's no point because if it falls down, then you're not there. Right? And thinking about like aliens have visited the USA, not a point at all. Because just imagine, bro, like in our country itself, all the people are living like aliens. So we talking about aliens coming to US, because just imagine, even in the movies, all the aliens are coming to US, Florida and, you know, California, but they never come to Kankasantureno. So don't worry about it. Right? So if you are a mathematics student, think sharp. Think in the focus. And even if your parents question you something illogical, question them back. But not in a, like, you know, arrogant manner, in a nice manner. Because mathematicians are nice people. They don't harm anyone. Their words can be little sharp because they know that there has to be a proof if there is a statement. So maybe before they are telling, if they are sharp in their mathematics, they will always come up with a proof and then they will come up with a statement. Not like the art commerce people that they come up with a statement and they try to find a proof, and if there is no proof, they still believe. Like in the religions, when someone says that, the God has created the world without a proof, you believe, but mathematics, you don't do that. But mathematics is never against the religions, because mathematics is treating the problems in each and every conceptual, thinking format of any freaking human in the world. And also we have developed mathematical formulas to understand the brains of animals. So technically speaking, mathematics is the only divinely truth that can exist without a God, because it is 100% made by human. So send your descriptive explanation and the analysis and the analogy on the WhatsApp group. I hope you can hear me. So just don't send like, this is awesome, pretty awesome, now we love math, because I know that already. I need more explanation, because I know that I'm good. But what I need to know is your real perspective of this session, right? So next week we are starting at the same time, 1:30, so get ready. And we will be moving on with trigonometry, algebra and vectors in applied mathematics, and then little bit of calculus starting with limit of a function. So that's the first 4 months target for us. So don't focus on anything else. And if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, tell them that you are doing mathematics, so to be logical with you guys. And if you have parents who has done arts, commerce and stuff, don't show them off like, you are doing a big thing, because with the experience of life, they might have much better things in them, right? So learn something from them as well. But the younger kids who are doing mathematics O level or whatever, you can show off to them, and you can break their mind and hurt them and bully them, anything through the mathematical knowledge that you are getting, that is good for them as well, right? Okay, then have a nice week and weekend, and I hope that you all had some fun, a mathematical sort of fun, and you entered into the mathematical thinking for the very first time, because you have heard of scientific thinking and scientific method, that is very simple, and you have heard of artistic thinking, and that is very beautiful, and mathematical thinking is very different, and we call it marvelous. Alright then, have a nice week, bye.
Decipher's 9 colors of math.